I want to watch some TV.
These are very sad children, homeless, needy children. Adopt a child and give them a home, because them as children, they need it the most, because they deserve it.
Need some punch in your life? Fight sour punch straws. You'll get a punch out of life.
Is your rug down in blue? Get the new black magic carpet where little kids can play.
Maybe I'll watch this movie.
Don't mean a thing if you ain't.
The Harlem Renaissance refers to the African American.
It don't mean a thing. All you gotta do is swing. Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm every little thing you've got. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing.
The Harlem Renaissance refers to the African American boom of cultural expression that was expressed in the 1920s. Harlem in New York City was the center of what was first called the New Negro Movement, and then the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was a celebration of African American heritage expressed through an outpouring of art, literature, music, and dance.
James Langston Hughes was born on February 1st, 1902 in Joplin, Missouri. When he was a small child, his parents divorced, leaving his grandmother to raise him up until the age of 13, when he moved to Lincoln, Illinois to live with his mother and her husband. There, in Lincoln, Illinois, was where Hughes began to write poetry. Hughes' primary influences were Paul Laurence Dunbar, Carl Sandburg, and Walt Whitman. In Hughes' works, black life in America from the 20s to 60s are particularly portrayed. Hughes was also known for his engagement in the musical world of jazz. He wrote plays, short stories, and poetry. The Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s was greatly influenced and shaped by the life and work of Langston Hughes. In all of Hughes' works, he depicted actual culture of blacks in America, including the love and suffering of music, laughter, and language. Unfortunately, due to prostate cancer, Langston Hughes died on May 22, 1967. Nevertheless, he was an enormously well-respected Harlem Renaissance poet and is still studied in literature today.
Zora Neale Hurston is one of the preeminent writers of the 20th century African American literature. Born on January 7, 1891, Zora was a role model for many artists who expressed their culture. She represented a prototypical authority on black culture and affirmed pride in their race. Zora began to combine her writing with anthropology. While writing her short stories such as John Redding Goes to Sea and Spunk, she was able to publish her first novel, Jonah's Gourd Vine. In 1937, one of her best novels published, Their Eyes Watching God, gave Zora the strength that she has had since she was small. She was able to show her writings to the public without thinking about what the white man wants. Zora addressed the racism remarks that the whites had towards the blacks.
There is something about poverty that smells like death.
Many blacks began to portray their pieces of work with their culture because they wanted to send out a message about what African life and culture is about. Being in poverty and obscurity, Zora died but her writings led to many new discoveries in strengthening the African culture.
Aaron Douglas, an inspiring black Harlem Renaissance artist, is known for fusing his art with ancestral African images, making him one of the best artists in Harlem during the 1920s. Aaron Douglas was born on May 26, 1899, and at such a young age he developed an interest in art, which was well supported by his own mother, Elizabeth Douglas. Aaron Douglas pursued his passion in art, looking for opportunities to increase his knowledge about art. In the year of 1928, Douglas studied African and Modern European art at the Barnes Foundation in Marion, Pennsylvania, on a grant that he had received from the foundation. In 1825, Douglas moved to New York City, settling in Harlem. Just a few months after arriving in Harlem, he produced illustrations that were featured in books by James Weldon Johnson, Countee Cullen, Elaine Locke, and other prominent black writers, activists, and intellectuals during the Harlem Renaissance. Aaron Douglas illustrated books, painted canvases, murals, and tried to start a new magazine showcasing the work of younger artists and writers. In 1931, he traveled to Paris, where he spent a year studying traditional French paintings and drawing techniques at the Académie Scandinavie. Aaron Douglas has been known to be called as the father of African American art. His amazing illustrations, murals, and paintings of life and history of people of color demonstrate an intense individuality for black Africans.
Duke Ellington, real name Edward Kennedy, was born April 29, 1899, in Washington, District of Columbia. Ellington became one of the greatest composers and pianists of the Harlem Renaissance. His music inspired millions with one of his most famous pieces, It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing. Duke's music stood out from the rest of the jazz players of that time, but he did not like to think of himself as a jazz player. Duke not only composed music and played the piano, but he also conducted his own band members. Duke Ellington not only wanted his music to sound good, but he wanted his music to speak. He was famous through the Harlem Renaissance era, but became even more known when he and his orchestra played in 1927 at a famous jazz club, the Cotton Club. Duke Ellington is not just a jazz player that created catchy songs, but he's a man who made the world know that music did not just have a voice. It had a soul.
Have you guys ever seen a touchscreen computer?
Huh? Push, ready?
One of our big requests called Santa Dog.
I too sing America.
I am the darker brother.
The Debbie to eat in the kitchen
When company comes
But I laugh
and eat well.
and grow strong.
There you go.
Tomorrow,
I'll be at the table.
When company comes,
nobody else there.
Say to me,
eat in the kitchen.
Then,
eat in the kitchen. Oh my god, just go in the kitchen.
Eat in the kitchen. Come on.
Oh my god, can you please just tell her to eat in the kitchen?
Eat in the kitchen.
besides,
they'll see how beautiful I am.
And be ashamed.